And just when the finish line started to come into view, when the numbers were no longer abstract but tangible, when the gap between where he was and that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours felt smaller than ever, this is where the most deceptive phase begins, the phase where impatience quietly returns, where the mind starts calculating, estimating, rushing ahead of the process, and that impatience can be more destructive than early confusion. Because now you actually have something working, and forcing it can break the very system that got you here. He felt it in the way he started checking analytics more frequently again, not out of curiosity, but out of expectation, as if each upload owed him performance, as if the system should now respond instantly because he had figured it out. And this subtle shift, from learning to expecting, changed his behavior in ways he didn't immediately notice. Because now, instead of refining based on data, he was reacting emotionally to short-term fluctuations, and short-term reactions are dangerous in a system that rewards long-term consistency. That's when he caught himself and stepped back, because by now he had learned one of the most important principles of sustainable growth. You don't control outcomes, you control inputs, and when your inputs are aligned correctly, outcomes follow with a slight delay. And understanding that delay is crucial, because many creators sabotage themselves by abandoning strategies that are actually working simply because they didn't produce immediate results. So he returned to his process, focusing again on what he could control: stronger hooks, clearer structure, better pacing, sharper packaging. And he stopped obsessing over every single upload, instead, evaluating performance over a series of videos, looking for trends rather than isolated results, because real growth is visible in patterns, not in individual spikes or dips. And as he maintained this discipline, something powerful began to stabilize. The channel's performance curve, which had once been unpredictable and inconsistent, started forming a clear upward trajectory, not perfectly smooth, but consistently rising. And this is the stage where monetization becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Because when your average performance is strong enough, you no longer need exceptional outliers to reach your goals. At the same time, he realized that he was now operating with leverage, because every new video benefited from the foundation built by previous ones, from the growing library of content, from the increasing number of returning viewers, from the algorithmic trust that had been slowly earned. And this leverage meant that the same level of effort was now producing significantly larger results. And that is what true growth feels like. Not working harder, but working within a system that amplifies your effort. But even here, there was another layer to master: the art of finishing strong, because reaching close to the monetization threshold creates a unique psychological pressure, a desire to just get there, to push harder, upload more, do anything to cross the line. And while that urgency is understandable, it often leads to rushed content, lower quality decisions, and ultimately slower progress. Because in trying to speed up, creators accidentally reduce the effectiveness of their system. So instead of rushing, he doubled down on quality and precision, treating each video as a critical step rather than a desperate attempt. Because he understood that a single strong video could contribute more to watch hours and subscribers than multiple rushed ones combined. And this mindset kept his system intact, allowing it to continue compounding without disruption. And then came the moment that changed everything. Not dramatically, not with fireworks or viral explosions, but quietly, almost casually, when he opened his dashboard and saw that the numbers had crossed the threshold. 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. The exact targets that once felt distant and overwhelming were now behind him. Not because of luck, not because of one viral hit, but because of a system that had been carefully built, refined, and executed over time. But what surprised him most was not the achievement itself. It was how different it felt from what he had imagined. Because instead of relief or excitement, there was clarity. A deep understanding that monetization was not the finish line, but simply the first confirmation that the system worked, that the approach was valid, that the process he had developed could now be scaled even further. And that is where the real opportunity begins, because once you have a system that can generate consistent growth, you are no longer limited to reaching one milestone. You can set new ones, higher ones, more ambitious ones, and pursue them with the same principles, the same clarity, the same strategic approach that got you here. He also realized something important about speed, something that most people misunderstand. Fast growth does not feel fast while you are inside it. It feels steady, controlled, sometimes even slow. But when you look back, you see how quickly everything actually moved because progress compounds quietly until it becomes undeniable. And by the time you notice it, you are already far ahead of where you started. And this perspective changed how he viewed the entire journey, because instead of chasing quick wins, he focused on building systems that produce results consistently. And consistency, when aligned with the right strategy, creates a form of speed that is far more reliable than any shortcut or hack. So if you are still on the path, still working toward that monetization goal, understand this clearly. The difference between struggling for months and achieving it in weeks is not effort, it is awareness. It is how quickly you identify what matters, how effectively you apply it, and how consistently you execute it without letting emotion disrupt your process. Because in the end, YouTube is not a mystery, it is a system, and systems can be learned, optimized, and mastered, but only by those who are willing to move beyond surface level advice and into deeper understanding. And once you reach that level, the goals that once felt impossible become predictable outcomes of a process you now fully control. And maybe the most powerful realization of all is this: you were never as far away from success as you thought. You were just missing the clarity that turns effort into results. And once that clarity is in place, everything begins to move. Not randomly, not slowly, but with direction, with purpose, and with a level of momentum that makes the journey not just achievable, but unstoppable.